Right, hello everyone. Today we're looking at multiplying and dividing by 10, 100, and 1,000. Okay, so we're going to be able to multiply both decimals and integers by these three numbers, 10, 100, and 1,000. I've shown you a little picture of why we might be interested in doing this. Okay, here I've got one of the bits of the set from one of my favorite movies, which is of course the Batmobile here. Okay, and here's a little model version of it which I've got. And you can see obviously how did they go about scaling it down to this kind of size. From here's the real one that's actually used in the movie here. um, well, actually, the measurements were 1 centimeter in this little one was equivalent to 100 centimeters in here. Okay, so when every 100 centimeters in here, they had to turn that into 1 centimeter in the little model. Okay, and that actually involved dividing by 100. Okay, so actually using what we're doing today, so that they can actually scale down all the measurements in this from this vehicle here into my little model over here. Okay, so we're going to look at how we can do that today. It's a level 5 topic. So if we've got something like this, a whole number, an integer, 63, and I'm going to times it by 10. Well, here we go. I've written out the number with units, tens, hundreds, thousands, tenths, obviously to the right of the decimal point labeled out here. Okay, now when I multiply something by 10, okay, imagine if I multiply the tens column by 10. Okay, well, what's 10 times by 10? That's 100. So everything that was in the tens column now becomes 100. So I move that up here. What about if you multiply a unit, so 1, if you multiply that by 10, what do you get? Well, you get 10. So everything in the units becomes tens. Okay, and you can see that that process is going to apply all the way across the line. Okay, all the way down here. So what's my answer going to be? Well, it's going to become 630. Okay, 630. You see, okay, because everything got shifted along one in terms of what its position is. Okay, let's have a look at another example here. We've got 49 times by 100. So again, this time my tens, when I multiply 10 by 100, what do I get? Well, I get 1,000. So it doesn't just go up one space, it goes up two. Okay, same with the units. When I multiply my units by 100, what's 1 times by 100? Well, it's 100. So it goes up to the hundreds column. Okay, and you can see this is going to apply all the way along again. So my answer is going to be 4,900. Okay, I just want you to understand how it works. We're going to look at a little rule we can use in a second. Okay, we've got another decimal here. This time, rather than having a 0 after it, we've got our first decimal. Rather than being a whole number, we've got a little decimal here. But the same thing applies. Okay, I'm multiplying by 10. So my tens become hundreds. My units become tens. And my tenths become units. Okay, everything shifted along one. Okay, so the answer to this one is going to be 352. Okay, let's look at a couple more quickly. We've got this one, a longer decimal here. Okay, we've got 3 numbers after the decimal point here. But again, the same point still applies. So I'm multiplying by 100. My units are going to become hundreds. Okay, so my tenths go up 2, they become here, and so on. Everything goes up 2, 1, 2. Okay, they will become 100 times bigger. And so my answer is going to be 826.2. Okay, let's just try 1 or 2 more. Oh, sorry, that's it. Okay, so as you can see here, we are able to multiply by 100. And I hope you understand why it is the numbers have changed to their new format. But what I want you to notice here is look at this. Okay, let's move this back. In fact, we don't need to do that. What we can say is, look, when I multiply 63 by 10, if you remember originally how I wrote it out, I said 63.0. Okay, because any whole number can be 0.0 times by 10. Okay, and look what's happened to my decimal point. Here it is. When I've multiplied by 10, all I have to do is move my decimal point one space to the right. Okay, and that suddenly had the effect of making everything 10 times bigger. You see the decimal point comes over here, so now the decimal point will be here. 630.0 if I want it, but 630. Okay, let's look at the second one we looked at. Here it is. Okay, so 49.0 times by 100 equals, which is what we're doing. And this time, when I'm multiplying by 100, I don't just move the decimal point one space to the right, I actually move it twice. So there'll be another 0 in here. Okay, so it's good, and that's why it's going to be 4,900. Okay, similarly, if we look at this one here, 35.2 times by 10. Well, what did we do last time we multiplied by 10? We simply moved my decimal point one space to the right. So if I do that here, what am I going to get? I'm going to get 352 because my decimal point has moved one space to the right. Similarly, here, when I multiply by 100, what do? We move my decimal point two spaces to the right. That's what we did when we multiplied by 100 last time. 1, 2, and here it is, 826.2. So what we've actually got are a couple of rules. Okay, when we're multiplying by 10, 100, and 1,000, we move the decimal point to the right, and it's very important you remember this. Okay, we're making the numbers bigger, so we move the decimal point to the right, and if it's times by 10, move it one space. I always look at how many zeros there are. Look, if there's 1 0, I move this one space to the right. 2 zeros, I move it two spaces to the right. 3 zeros, 3 spaces to the right. And in fact, I didn't even need to bother showing you any division ones, because it's very, very simple. When we divide by 10, 100,000, it's the same rule about how many spaces. 1 space for dividing by 10, 2 spaces for dividing by 100, 3 spaces for dividing by 1,000. But all you need to remember is that actually this time we move the decimal point to the left. So if you're making notes from this, you might want to copy down these two slides. You can just pause it and copy down. Here's multiplying by 10, 100, and 1,000. Here's dividing by 10, 100, and 1,000. And we're just going to run through a few quick examples here to make sure everyone knows what's going on here. So if I'm multiplying by 10, what do I do to the decimal point? I move it one space to the right. So I'm going to get 85.4. So one space to the right, I hope I said that. Then 43 times by 10. Here's my decimal point. I'm going to move it one space to the right. I'm going to get 430. Here we go. 1.26 times by 100. I'm going to move it to the right because it's a multiplying. I'm going to move it two spaces. So it's going to go 1, 2. So it's going to be 126. Okay. Two spaces to the right. Here again, multiply, so it goes to the right. Two spaces, so we're going to go over here once, and then over again. And what's that thing here? It's going to be a 0 here. So it's going to be 2, 3, 6, 0. If there's nothing there when you're moving it, you imagine there's a 0, okay? Similarly here, I'll have to do this one underneath. I've moved it to the right, but because it's by 1,000, I'm moving it 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it's going to be some huge number. 193,236.5. Don't forget that bit on the end. Okay, 0.5. The decimal point is still gone in there. Let's move 3 spaces to the right. And we'll just look at these division ones here. If I'm dividing by 10, this means to the left, 1 space. Move the decimal point 1 space to the left. So it's going to be 0.854. And here I'm dividing by 10, so to the left, 1 space. So here it was. I'm going to the left, 1 space. So what am I going to get? I'm going to get 4.3. Here, divide by 100, so to the left, 2 spaces. 1, 2. So I'm going to get, I have to write underneath here. 2, I'll show it for you. 1, 2. So it's going to be 2.214. Here I'm dividing to the left by 100, so 2 spaces. 1, 2. So that's going to give me naught, because there's lots of noughts out here. 0.236. And finally here, dividing, so to the left, by 1,000, so 3 spaces. It's going to go 1, 2, 3 in here. So we're going to get 0.19323. Okay, I hope you followed what's going on there. Okay, it's a very simple case of just remembering the rules, and if you can do that, you can have no problems at all. Goodbye.